This is an art attack. This is an art attack. This is Art Attack. Hello there. Hey, here's a good one for you. How do you do a prehistoric cave painting on your own bedroom wall? Newspaper. Come and have a look at this. Take a big double-page spread of newspaper, open it out, and then crumple some other sheets of newspaper up very loosely and just lay them down flat on one side of the newspaper like that. And then fold your newspaper over like that. And then just go around all of the edges and fold over a thin strip back on itself like that. And as you're doing it, staple it down. It's also a good idea just to fold back the corners and staple them too. And when you've gone all the way around your newspaper, you'll have something that looks a bit like that. It's sort of a paper parcel, really. And then just gently pat it and get rid of all the big lumps or any excess air in there, and that will now be the surface of your cave wall. So then, this is the good bit. This is the messy bit. Take some PVA glue, just the ordinary white school glue in the squidgy bottles, and just carefully pour it on like that, and then brush it all over the surface of your newspaper. Now, I'm using a big brush here, as you can see, but it's a good idea for you just to take some time over this. Use your brush and just make sure you cover the whole of the surface of your newspaper pillow or your cave wall. And when you've completely covered the surface of your cave, just take some sand. Great this, watch this, and just pour it all over your cave wall. You can see already it's starting to stick to the glue like that. And then immediately, don't wait, immediately just shake off all the excess. Like that. And if there are any bits that you've missed, just dab on some glue, put more sand on there, and then leave it to dry overnight. And when it's dry, it will have gone crispy and hard, and it will look like that. Perfect for doing a cave painting on. And to do your cave drawing or painting, best thing to use is wax crayon or chalk. Now, to make your drawing look authentic, it doesn't have to be brilliant, because I don't think they were very good artists in those days. Obviously, didn't watch Art Attack. And they were quite fond of doing hunting scenes, animals and people. So just do a very simple animal. Oh, if your crayon breaks, don't worry. It means you've got two of them then. And you can always do some stick people in, because again, they weren't that good at drawing people. So just put some stick people in, one there, I think. And maybe some arrows flying through the sky. And even a sun in the corner. And then to colour it in, well, again, they didn't have many colours, so the best thing to do is use earthy colours like browns, reds, oranges. And just going over the whole of your painting, at least the whole of your horse or wherever it is, buffalo, mammoth. And you can just feel the sand, the grittiness of the sand wearing away your wax crayon as you're doing it. And maybe just a bit of yellow there for the sun. Like that. And some green grass, just a bit on the floor. And finally, just a little bit of blue for the sky. And again, I'll say, just keep your drawing very basic. And there it is, a prehistoric cave painting.
Pretty do well. And to think, just one slip of the finger and it would have been a catastrophe. A catastrophe! Oh, really?
How do you turn a quick doodle like this on an old scrap piece of paper into a work of art? With a doodle frame. Take a piece of paper that's roughly twice the size of your doodle and a different colour, and then place your doodle roughly in the middle of the paper. And the great thing about this is you don't have to be precise. And then just put a dot on each of the four corners of your doodle on the backing paper, like that, and then draw a box from each of the dots to the four corners. And again, doesn't have to be precise. This is just a guide mark. And then take a pair of scissors and just snip out each of those boxes. Let's just see if you can guess what it is I'm doing here. Again, you don't have to be accurate with this. And let's face it, nothing on Art Attack ever is it? There it is. I like doing things rough like this. Now, at this point, I've got a piece of paper like that with 4 flaps on it. And it doesn't matter about these marks, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a felt pen or coloured pencil that's the same colour as your paper, but a bit darker, and just draw some squiggles going backwards and forwards across each of the flaps. Again, you don't have to be neat, because it's a sort of, well, wood effect that I'm looking for. I'm just going backwards and forwards with the grain like that on the flaps. And then when you've done that, it looks a bit like cartoon wood, really, doesn't it? When you've done that, fold the flaps into the middle, very roughly. Turn that round. One in there. Another one in there. I'm doing this very quickly just to show you, but you can take a bit of time over it and do it nice and carefully. And then when you've done that, open the flaps up, turn your paper over, and you have to be careful with this. Just very carefully roll a pencil very tightly, like that, into each of the 4 flaps. Just rolling it over, nice and tight, like that. Then do each of those 4 flaps. When you've done it, you will have something that looks remarkably like that. And then turn it over and just pull these rolls back in like that, where you roll the pencil in. Just put them into shape. And then just put it to one side and take your doodle and then just cut off 2 centimetres down one of the sides, and then another 2 centimetres down the top. Now again, you don't have to be accurate with this. And whatever you do, don't, just push that out of the way there, piece of paper fighting with me. Whatever you do, don't measure it with a ruler or try and do it too neatly, because the effect that I'm looking for, there you are, look at that, is a sort of wonky effect that looks like that. Then bring your frame back in and just put your picture onto your frame, glue it in position, and there you have a piece of zany art.
They are basically very simple. Just snip the corners out and roll the sides around a pencil. Oh yes, you should remember to take the pencils out.
My name is Kate, and I have drawn a picture of a vase in charcoal.
Hello, I am Lee, and this is my picture of Puffin, and around the edges I've smudged in the charcoal.
Ah, weren't they fantastic charcoal pictures? And did you notice all the different effects and techniques that they used? Well, you know, a lot of artists like to use charcoal for just roughly marking in their pictures before painting them. And I like to do that. The reason for that is you can alter your mistakes very easily. Look at that. It's just a case of rubbing it out with your finger and going over it again. And another reason I like to use charcoal is you can get so many different shades and tones just from the one stick. I'll show you what I mean here. I'm just shading in an area of black. Now watch this. If I just smear it across with my fingers, you start to get this other sort of tone in front of the black bit. And again, I can almost do an arm there, just by smearing my fingers across the charcoal. Put a little bit of shadow in the back there. And of course you can use the charcoal on its side to create these big areas of black. Or you can use the charcoal as a pointed implement, just to put in some extra detail like that. In fact, you can even sharpen your charcoal with a pencil sharpener. After all, it's just a piece of wood, isn't it? In fact, the way they make charcoal is they bake twigs at a very high temperature in a special oven. So next time you're using charcoal, just think, you're painting with a burnt stick. There it is. And just go down there, create a bit of shadow down there, around the corner, and again, just rubbing out your mistakes. Now that's a little bit too dark there. I want something else in there. And if you've got all these sort of dark, dirty smudges all over your picture, don't worry about that, because it all adds to that moody effect. Just put in some more detail around there, like that, and a bit more on the corner here. And again, you can just put in some detail either with a rubber or using your finger. Look at that there. I'm just going to put in some more detail with the tip of the charcoal, like that. I need to rub some more out in there. And can you guess what this is yet? Well, you should be able to get it now. Watch this. And there it is, across there, like that. And there he is, the fisherman. And if you do your charcoal picture on some coloured paper, like I've done, you could always finish it off just with a dab of chalk on the edge like that to create a highlight. Look at that. It just picks out the light right on the edge. Very effective it is too. And there it is, gone fishing. Try it yourself, a charcoal attack. And I'll see you next time. Ta-ra.
It's completely...
Philbert the frog. Philbert the frog. Philbert. Philbert. Philbert the frog. Philbert.
Philbert the frog.
Philbert was very excited. He had just received a present from his great aunt Edith Frog.
Woohoo! Fantastic!
Shouted Philbert,
It's a history encyclopedia.
and he began to read.
Their bones were uncovered by archaeologists who carefully put them together like giant jigsaw puzzles. That sounds like fun.
And with that, he went away to find a shovel. Half an hour later, Melvin Mouse was going for a stroll through Nugget Wood.
Ah! Who put that hole there? Who did it? Who did it? Do you mind?
Asked a familiar voice.
You're standing on my foot.
It was Philbert.
What are you doing? What are you doing, eh? Digging holes?
Inquired Melvin.
I'm looking for dinosaur bones,
Said the frog.
and you're interrupting my work.
Melvin wasn't impressed.
Another of your harebrained schemes, no doubt. Yes, that's probably what it is, harebrained.
And then he climbed out of the hole.
One of these days, Philbert Frog, you're going to get yourself in trouble. I know it.
Then he limped off to finish his stroll. Philbert continued digging. Time passed by, and soon there were holes everywhere in Nugget Wood. Just then, Tiffany Tortoise, Willy Worm, and Herbert Hedgehog arrived to see what was going on. There was a loud cry,
Hooray!
and out of a hole popped Philbert Frog, with something strange in his hands.
I found a dinosaur!
He yelled.
A dinosaur?
Inquired Tiffany.
It's all in pieces.
Philbert explained,
I've got to put the bones back together.
Don't be so silly.
said Willy.
There aren't any dinosaurs in Nugget Wood. Never seen a dinosaur. Never seen a dinosaur.
No, I've never seen one neither, said Herbert.
You've just found an old bone, that's all.
Chuckled Tiffany. And then they all went away, laughing to themselves, leaving Filbert to excavate the dinosaur all by himself. Presently, the archaeologist Frog had dug up a strange selection of bones, and before long, there was a large dinosaur skeleton standing in front of him. As Filbert put the last bone into place, Melvin Mouse returned from his stroll. He looked at the dinosaur and fell over in shock.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
He gasped.
A dinosaur in Nugget Wood.
Then, as fast as he could, Melvin ran off to tell everybody the news. It didn't take long for the word to spread, and soon people were coming from miles around to see the Filbertsaurus. They cheered Filbert for being such a clever frog. Melvin Mouse returned with Tiffany Tortoise, Willy Worm, and Herbert Hedgehog. They all congratulated Filbert.
I told you that I would find a brand new dinosaur.
You must make a speech about your discovery. That's what you've got to do.
Said Willy Worm. Filbert turned to the crowd before him. Just as he opened his mouth, he was interrupted by a sudden gush of water coming from one of the holes that he had dug. At that very moment, Monty Mole popped his head up from underground.
What's going on, Filbert, eh? What's going on?
I've just excavated a dinosaur.
The frog explained. Monty examined the skeleton carefully and shook his head before explaining that the bones were not part of a dinosaur at all, but sections of piping from the water mains.
And you must replace them all immediately.
Oh, no.
Filbert moaned as all of the people went away in disgust. His friends suddenly burst out laughing.
You must be the silliest frog in the whole world.
They chortled.
Yeah, and the wettest.
Added Monty. Then they all went home for tea, and poor Filbert Frog was left to fill in all the holes that he had dug.
Filbert the Frog.
Welcome to the magical world of Insectors. Join Folger, Spot, Alia, and the other Joyces as they try to bring some colour into the drab and mechanical world of the Yucks.
We destroy, we disintegrate, we pulverize.
Very well, you ignoramus. Award-winning animation brings the buzz of life into these fun-filled characters. Insectors, the colour guitar, is available now at all ABC shops, ABC centres, and video retailers.
Filbert the Frog. Filbert the Frog. Filbert. Filbert. Filbert the Frog.
Filbert the Frog. It was a blustery day in Nugget Wood, and the autumn leaves were falling. They drifted downwards on the wind until they lay like a golden carpet on the woodland floor. Not far away, Filbert Frog was busy building himself a kite. He was just about to try it out when his old pal Melvin Mouse came crunching through the leaves.
Hello, Filbert.
He muttered glumly.
Hello.
Said the frog.
Look what I've made.
Melvin examined the kite.
A sailing boat?
He asked.
No, silly. It's a kite.
Filbert then threw it up into the air and watched it float gracefully into a tree. Melvin sighed as the crumpled kite fell to the floor.
Never mind.
He said.
Nothing's perfect.
Filbert agreed, but couldn't help noticing that Melvin wasn't his usual cheery self.
You don't look very happy, Melvin. What's the matter?
Melvin explained.
My cottage is full of holes. The autumn wind blows in through the gaps and makes it very chilly at night.
Oh, dear.
Said Filbert.
That can't be good.
It's most unpleasant. I have to wear a scarf and woolly hat in bed.
Then Melvin said goodbye and went home for lunch. Philbert felt sorry for his friend and decided to help. He would build Melvin a new house. Later that day, Philbert set about gathering all the materials that he would need to construct a new home for his pal. Wood, string, paper, glue, an old bucket, 3 rusty nails, and an empty tea chest.
Perfect,
He said to himself.
Melvin will soon be the cosiest mouse in Nugget Wood.
Philbert stayed up all night, hammering, sawing, gluing, and painting, until the following morning, the new house was complete. He was pleased with his work. It was the best house he had ever built. Philbert wheeled the building over to where his pal's rickety old cottage stood and knocked on the door. It didn't take long for Melvin to answer, and he was overjoyed when he saw what Philbert had made for him.
Just what I want.
He said cheerfully.
I will use it tonight.
Now you will never be cold.
Said Philbert, and he left Melvin to admire his present. Later on that evening, when the sun had set, Philbert went to see how the mouse was settling into his new home. However, when he arrived, he discovered that the house had gone. He noticed that there was a light coming from the window of Melvin's old cottage, and so he decided to knock on the door.
Hello, Philbert,
said the mouse.
How nice to see you again. The present you gave me is fantastic.
Philbert looked puzzled.
But where is it?
He asked. Melvin showed the frog inside and pointed to a roaring fire.
I couldn't bear to leave my lovely little cottage,
began the mouse.
But this is certainly the best firewood I've ever had, and it should last me all winter.
Philbert could not believe his eyes.
Oh well,
He sighed.
nothing's perfect.
Just then, there was a knock at the door. It was Tiffany Tortoise and all the others,
It looks like my guests have arrived.
said Melvin.
Why don't you join us, Philbert, and have some toasted muffins on the fire?
Philbert Frog gave a big smile. If there was one thing he loved, it was toasted muffins.
This is certainly the strangest house-warming party I've ever been to.
Philbert the Frog.
Welcome to the magical world of Insectors. Join Folger, Spot, Alia, and the other Joyces as they try to bring some colour into the drab and mechanical world of the Yucks.
We destroy, we disintegrate, we pulverize.
Very well, you ignoramus.
Award-winning animation brings the buzz of life into these fun-filled characters. Insectors, the colour guitar, is available now at all ABC shops, ABC centres, and video retailers.
8:30? 8:30?
8:30.
8:30, wow, 8:30. 8:30, what? 8:30?
Now listen, it's 8:30, all right? 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. 8:30.
Yes, 8:30. That's right. Couch Potato's now on at 8:30 on a Sunday morning. That's half an hour later. So see you loud and proud across the nation at 8:30 Sunday morning. Be there.